Hi guys, good to see you again. Welcome back to the channel. Well, it's been another frantic week of moving up and down from Hampshire. Managed the final 2 trips this week, so as you can see, I'm not set up studio wise yet, or should I say set up my computer gear in the spare room. It's never really a studio or an office, it's always the spare room. But yeah, so you join me in the living room. I finally got the place just about set up. I've got the fire going, which is lovely and warm. Lovely to have an open, well, not an open fire, a log burner again, so that's really nice to sit here in the evenings and get your feet nice and toasty warm, so that's great. That's going, roaring away. I've got the dog here sleeping on the sofa. She's nice and comfy. So yeah, we're about set now, but obviously not quite got all the kit set up yet, so I thought I'd do a quick vlog from the living room. Well, as you can imagine, it's been a frantic week. Obviously can't go outside at the minute, you know, vlogging as such. I've been taking the dog for a walk, and taking my camera about, but only locally. There's 1 or 2 woodlands about, but I've not really had time to have a good scout about yet. So you joined me in the house, and I thought this week, a bit late, I know a lot of vloggers have already done this weeks ago, but I've been flat out with this house move. I thought I'd go over 5 favourite images from last year. A football, a wildlife, a coastal, an astro and a landscape. Obviously fortunate enough in between the lockdowns last year to do quite a bit of travelling. Obviously loads and loads of hours walking around the forest. So anyway, I'm going to start with a sports image, and obviously it's going to be football. Now this channel started out as a sports channel, and obviously I filmed 2 or 3 behind the scenes from Premier League, and then COVID hit and that was it. Sport totally stopped, and of course it's not started since, sadly, and I've had to quickly turn my eye, obviously as you guys know now, into woodlands and landscapes, which I'm absolutely loving. Found another passion other than sport, and so the sports, obviously I've, through no choice of my own, gone to the wayside for now, and I've been picking up the woodland and landscapes. But just thinking about the last game actually that I had was at Southampton versus Newcastle, and quite an apt story at the moment is one of my favourite images from that game was a goal celebration. I think it was San Maximan. He obviously scored the winning goal, and he did, I think, a double somersault towards me, and it was a fantastic goal celebration, and one that obviously sticks in my mind. Obviously sad that that was my last game as well, so it's quite apt. And obviously celebrations in the news at the moment with all this social distancing. The players have been asked to not to celebrate, but individually, not as a group, you know, to keep their social distancing. Obviously in the public eye at the moment, everyone, we're all doing as we're told and trying to stay socially distanced, not visiting family and that, and I think the footballers have now been asked to sort of follow suit. So with this image of my favourite sports image being a goal celebration, it's quite apt really, and obviously all the crowd in the background. It's a distant memory now, seeing the crowds in the stadiums and that. So yeah, my favourite image sport wise would be San Maximan doing a goal celebration. I'll pop the images up now, guys, and I've got a bit of footage from the video, and yeah, so that's my favourite image from football last season.
Maximan makes it 1-0 with a nice somersault celebration too.
Right, moving on to my favourite woodland scene. I've got so many. I was just, while I was setting this video up, flicking through my Instagram feed, and I had such a great time in the forest. last year and obviously until lockdown and until I moved up to Lincolnshire again. But the one image that sticks in my mind, and I've done a couple of videos on it, is that tremendous looking old ancient oak tree in the forest. And once again, thanks to Ariel for giving me the heads up on the oak. Thanks, Ariel. And I say I've visited there 3 or 4 times, but there was one specific time that sticks out in my memory. I'm just opening the image now. Is when it was a lovely foggy misty morning. It was a bit of an anxious walk because it was about a 20-minute walk from the car park to this oak tree, and I'm thinking, please fog, don't lift. It stayed nice and low. I got to the oak tree. It looked absolutely phenomenal, lovely and atmospheric, and yeah, probably my favourite oak tree of all time that I've visited and found. Obviously I've not been doing the Woodland that long, only most of last year, but and I'm sure there'll be lots of new oaks, and I can't wait to get out and about round here and get searching for some lovely oak trees and, you know, beech avenues and all sorts of ancient woodlands. But yeah, my favourite woodland image from last year would have to be the old oak tree in the New Forest. I'll pop it up now, guys, with a bit of video. Right, image number 3 is my favourite coastal image. Didn't really visit the coast too much. I went to Durdle Door, obviously mainly the Jurassic Coast in Dorset. So Durdle Door, Lulworth Cove, where else to go? Peveril Point, Kimmeridge Bay. Lots of fantastic sunrise and sunset images, but memory-wise, it's sunsets that I really enjoy. And a good friend of mine, James Marsh, and myself went down for sunrise to Peveril Point, which is just on the west corner of Swanage, just in one of the bays. Yeah, Peveril Point, and it's got some lovely rock formations that lead out for about 150 yards probably. And if you can capture the sunrise just right, which we were really lucky this morning, the sky went lovely and orange and lots of purples and blues, lovely tones. And I just concentrated on the rocks that just lead out. They're sort of a 30-degree angle, just protruding out of the water, and it makes a lovely frame. And it was a lovely square crop, and the sky was just right. I think it was about, I think I did about a 30-second exposure, so with a 10 stop on, so the sea's, nice and smoothed off. And that for me, the memories of waiting for sunrise, the excitement of what are you going to get. And this particular image, I'm just looking at it now, made a lovely square crop, some lovely clouds in the sky, and yeah, that would be my favourite coastal image from last year. So it didn't do too much coastal, but if you ask me, this is the one that springs to mind, and it's going to be on the wall here before long. I'm going to get a big print of it done, I think, and yeah, that would be my favourite one down at Peveril Point. I'll pop it up now, guys. Right, image number 4 is wildlife. Now, I immediately thought about the deer that I photographed just before Christmas when I took the 400 into the forest for a bit of an experiment. It had been an okay session, nothing great, quite a challenge with the 400 as you can imagine in the forest. And I was just packing up. I said bye to the camera. I'd done my piece to camera. Thanks for watching and whatever. And then I turned round to put the kit away in the bag and spotted a deer that was literally laying behind me, about, I don't know, 80 yards behind me. I'd been making noise and it obviously hadn't moved. And it didn't want to move. It was obviously relaxing. It'd have a bit of a busy day probably. And it was just sat there chewing on the bracken and whatever. Well, it was laying down, and I had time to turn the 400 round, shoot some video through the 400, which was great to test it for that, and then took 2 or 3 images of that. Now, that's the one that initially sprung to mind, because I've not done much wildlife. But thinking back, I think if I had to really choose, it would be the fox cubs that I photographed in Gilly's mum's back garden in the orchard. She's got a garage type shed in the orchard, and it's all overgrown. And there was a litter of fox cubs in there. Well, actually, there was 2 litters of fox cubs in there. So, you know, it was great. I planned where I was going to lay. I cut out a bit of a gap in the brambles. Got the 400 set up. Got the M50 set up. And this one fox cub, I think I counted 10 coming out. There must have been 2 litters. And this one fox cub was so inquisitive. And I was shooting on the 1DX then before I got the 5D Mark IV. So even though you put it in silent shutter, it's still not quite silent. There's still a bit of a knock. And every time I took a frame, he looked and he was moving, and it was a great sort of 2-minute moment really. It was fantastic. Just me and the fox cub. Every time I made a noise, he gave me a different pose. Now it was great, and that's obviously my favourite wildlife session. But the one thing that I wish I'd done was remove the downpipe, the bright white downpipe, the drain pipe on the shed. But obviously that's where they were living, and I didn't want to go and cause a fuss moving this drain pipe and scare the litter off. So I had to put up with it, and it does sort of ruin the images a bit. But memory-wise and photograph-wise, I've always wanted to get close and personal with some fox cubs, and boy, did I get close and personal with these cubs. It was great, and that was the best night really. I did several more nights, but I think they wised up to me for a bit. And yeah, but wildlife-wise, shooting the fox cubs would be well, not shooting obviously, but photographing the fox cubs would be the best memory and the best images from last year. I'll pop some video up now in a few frames. Right, image number 5, and I've just realised I'm actually going to do 6 images. So image number 5 would be Astro. Now, I had a quick go at it, again, during lockdown when we couldn't travel far, and then as soon as lockdown was finished and we could travel a bit for work again and whatever, it was just at the time when Comet Neowise was in the skies for a few weeks, and I thought, where can I go? I really want to get a nice, you know, a proper. I'd not done Astro much. I'd had a few goes at the Milky Way and that, and I've been to Durdle Door and shone the torch towards the Milky Way and that image did spring to mind. But then I thought, Comet Neowise, you just can't beat that. What a year! So yeah, it would be the Comet Neowise frame or frames over Stonehenge. I made the journey late on in the evening. I think I set off from home about 9 o'clock or something like that, and headed over to Stonehenge. I checked out the weather forecast, and it was the first week of Comet Neowise when it was quite low on the horizon, so it was really low, you know, it worked out to be really low over Stonehenge, and got some fantastic frames. It was a bit precarious, stood on the side of the A303 with lorries flying by and whatever, but managed a nice bit of video, and I say it was such a privilege to see Comet Neowise. I was with about another, I don't know, 10 photographers, I should think, all of us perched on the side of the fence, one tripod leg out through the fence and two this side, and with, you know, trying to not dodge the traffic, because we had about 4 foot of grass verge to shoot on. But yeah, so Astrowise, Milky Way's a close second, but definitely the favourite image from last year, Astrowise, would be Comet Neowise over Stonehenge. I'll pop a bit of footage and some frames up now, guys. Right, well, we're here. What's the time now? 10 to 11. Clouds have cleared, but right where we want to be on the horizon, there's still quite a bit of thick cloud, but fingers crossed. We've got, well, 10 to 11 now, 10 to 12. We've got an hour and a half, hopefully, for the clouds to clear, so I'll have a quick drink and head down and see what it looks like. Well, we're all set up, a bit precarious, stood up right on the side of the A303. I've got one tripod leg over the fence, balancing nicely. So I've captured a few frames already, because this comet's moving so quickly. I thought I'd best get set up and get a frame or two done first. So shooting on the 70 to 200 2.8. I'm at about f3.5. I've done a few different settings, f3.5, f5.6, even went up to f8 for a couple, between ISO 1600 down to about ISO 800. It's a real privilege to see this comet, and oh, here comes the car, so you'll have to excuse the noise for a second. They must wonder what on earth we're doing. But yeah, it's making some lovely frames. I've done some portrait and some landscape, so really good. No noctilucent clouds yet. Try getting that out, and so they might come in a bit perhaps. But yeah, fantastic frames. I'll put a few up now, and I hope you like them, guys. So as you can probably tell, this is two images blended together. Obviously the stones, I took that on an overexposed frame. At first I tried to have an exposure of about 3 or 4 minutes to try and get the natural light onto the stones, but the security guards kept turning their torches on and off and spoiling the frame. So I ended up knocking the ISO right up to maximum 12,800 on about, I think about 15 seconds. Obviously it looked like it was taken in daylight, and then in post-processing lowered the exposure right down again to try and make the stones look as natural as possible, like someone's light painted them with a torch, and then obviously overlaid that over more of a standard frame. I think that was at 6 seconds, about ISO 800. I think it was about f4, f3.5, something like that, and then blended the two frames together, and really chuffed with this. I think it's come out really well, but interesting to think what you guys think of it. Let me know in the comments below. So I've just been playing with a few settings, and I've tried to really overexpose the stones so that
you know, almost like it looks like it's daylight. See if I can blend an image. I'm not sure, it might not work, but we'll have a go. But whilst I was doing that, there's some security guards over there mingling around the stones. I think they're there 24/7, and he was just messing about with his torch, and it's actually made quite a good effect. So I'll pop that one up now, something a bit different.
Right, I know I said there's going to be 5 images, but there's actually 6. So image number 6 would be my favourite landscape. Now, I started off doing quite a few landscapes and bits and bobs, and then obviously the Woodland took over and I got serious and on Project New Forest. But before that, and again, once lockdown had finished, I made my way over to Woodland Valley in Snowdonia National Park, North Wales. And I'd seen lots of waterfalls and cascades and a couple of lakes, and Lyn Idwell, which was just in the Woodland Valley, I think it's Lyn Idwell, had a nice cascade just leading out of it and leading off down into Lyn Ogwen, I think, and you have to correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But so I'd spent most of the morning, because I got there the night before. It was a quick 24-hour trip really. Got there the night before, slept in the van in one of the Ogwen car parks, and then made my way up the side of Trevan. Well, just the next mountain across from Trevan. I mean, incidentally, I wish I'd gone the other way really, but I didn't do my research properly. Next time I'm definitely going to shoot Trevan from the other side of the Ogwen Valley. But anyway, I went up the mountain, and I got several nice frames of some nice waterfalls coming down from a lake at the top, and then I sort of traversed my way across the mountain and overlooked Lyn Idwell, and I thought the weather was terrible. There was lots of mist, and I was waiting for some nice light obviously on the side of the mountain, but it never happened, and the rain came down and it just got murkier and murkier, and obviously giving you a bit of mood, and the mist was coming over the mountain. So I thought I'll go down the hillside, down the mountainside, and I'll try and get to the water's edge. And I had a bit of an issue. I got to the water's edge and my 10-stop and my variable polarizer had stuck together, so I couldn't part them. So it was a bit tricky, but I managed a couple of nice frames, and the frame that sticks in my mind was really moody, really ethereal if you like. And it was of the little cascade with I think it's not the Glidders. Is it the Kitchen? I'm not sure, but that mountain range sort of thing, Glidders range I think. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong again in the comments. In the backdrop with Lyn Idwell sort of in the foreground, and then this nice cascade coming over. It's on about a 30-second exposure, obviously with the polarizer on. But there was a little bit of condensation I think had built up in between the two stuck filters, in between the variable polarizer and the 10-stop. So I really had to work hard in post-production, but managed to get a nice frame, and obviously put it on Instagram, and it got quite well received. So if you had to ask me which landscape would be my favourite, it would be that one, because I thought the day had gone. I thought I've gone all the way to Wales, not really got the landscape that I wanted. But right at the end of the day, I went down to the water's edge and managed to grab this frame here that I'm going to put up now of Lyn Idwell and the nice cascade. I'll pop it up now, guys, with a bit of footage.
Well, at last, I've managed to find a nice frame here at Lyn Idwell. Just working my way back down the mountain and round Lyn Idwell itself, and I've come across this nice little cascade. It's nothing spectacular, but along with that fantastic backdrop of the mountain there, makes a lovely frame. I've managed to use the polarizer and the 10-stop filter. I've had to mess about with the ISOs a bit, but I know that the 5D can manage it. So I was shooting at ISO 640, f9 at 20-second exposure, and so the polarizers work quite well. It's took all the sheen off the water, and you can see some of the rocks and that, and with it being at f9, the backdrop's quite nice and sharp. So yeah, quite pleased with this. I was thinking I wasn't going to get another frame after them waterfalls, but really happy with this one. I'll pop it up now, guys, and I hope you like it.
Right, well, I said 5, it was actually 6, but that's my 6 favourite images from last year. Who knows what this year's going to bring. Get the house finished off first, get the computer room set up upstairs, and I say there is some nice woodlands locally around here, and once I'm all set up now, I've got a bit more time, we'll go on some quite, longer hour or 2 hour dog walks and see what I can see. But I'm still not going to vlog out and about. I don't think that's fair. I'll take my camera out. I might even take the M50 out just to put it in my pocket, just to keep my Instagram feed going and whatever. But I'm not going to do any vlogging. I don't think that's fair at all. So, but I say, I think we're all right to either take the iPhone out with us, and do some snaps or whatever, and capture our local area. But for now, anyway, it's going to be more videos from upstairs. Hopefully, when I get set up. But anyway, we've got to keep plodding on, keep doing as we're told. And before we know it, hopefully mid-February, I think lockdown's due to finish. Fingers crossed. The vaccine's really getting distributed well now, so we'll soon be out and about again. So all I can say really is stay positive, guys. Keep thinking what you can photograph locally, even in your garden, bit of macro or whatever. But yeah, so anyway, I'm babbling on. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed them images, and take care, and I'll catch you up next Sunday. Thanks for watching. See you soon.